afternoon and welcome to Afternoon Express. Now today we are celebrating Freedom Day and 30 years of democracy. With me in studio is well-known social commentator and apartheid survivor Lisa Son. And then we speak to Nikki Edwards, who is part of a successful NGO and a business that provides women with skills and support to help them run their own successful businesses. And in the kitchen, we are celebrating Freedom Day with a bride peri-peri chicken and a South African flag snack platter that sounds delicious. But let's start the show and chat with Lisa Son about the impact of 30 years of democracy. Welcome to the loft, Lisa.
Thank you so much. What a privilege to be here.
You are truly looking bright and cheerful as we continue to celebrate our 30 years of democracy. Now, as we track back to the 27th of April, 1994, where were you?
So I grew up on the Cape Flats and we went to our church in Athlone, which was a polling station. And so getting to vote with my parents for the first time was the most exciting thing. I think we were the first people there. I was 7 months pregnant with my first born-free child. And the rest of the day I spent at a polling station in Lansdowne just as a volunteer monitor for the IEC, with a big smile on my face for the whole day. People came to vote till the last minute. So it was a very exciting time.
What do you think people's mentality was and their personal mental health was during that time?
At the time, I feel like we were all hopeful because it was a long, hard-earned struggle to get to that vote, to that polling station in the first place. So along with many people, I felt it was a miraculous transition. It was peaceful. It was a negotiated settlement. And I think coming out of the frustrations and all the issues, the disempowerment of apartheid, everybody was positive.
Absolutely. And then Nelson Mandela was voted as our president, our first democratic president. Now turning the tables on you, how are you feeling? I mean, you were pregnant, about to give birth. A lot was going on in your own life.
But I was so excited because I think I got politically active very late in the 80s. So by the time Adela was released, there was just a euphoric sense of victory. I think he was humble enough to come out and say we weren't free because of him, because there were lots of other people, you know, who also made sacrifices and contributed to it. So it was a proud moment.
I feel like a lot of people can resonate with that, but there was also, you know, they say you have to just be careful of your impressions on what's about to happen and what you feel is about to happen, because no one wanted to set themselves up for disappointment. And with all of the turmoil and all of the uprising that was happening, finally there was a breakthrough. Do you feel as if the promise was upheld of this democratic state and nation?
I think big efforts were made, but I think we're still in the process. We have to now innovatively create a new South Africa. Not recreate a South Africa and repair it, create a new one. So I'm always positive about South Africa. Yeah, in the days where I roll my eyes and how this is bad, but I'm also conscious of the fact that anything that I complain about, most South Africans, that's their livelihood. So always being conscious about being purposeful with privilege, with not messing up with our democracy, because that democracy is an obligation to all of us as citizens. I mean, I love making a social impact, being purposeful, doing something that's measurable. And it's actually so easy to enroll other people because everybody that I've met wants to do something and they don't have
the means,
a place. Because sometimes, you know, social capital means that you have access to a community, you have access to a group, you have access to a network. And if everybody makes their contribution from there are so many positive people in South Africa who want to make a contribution. They don't know where to start.
Yeah, and a lot of people do bring up, you know, there are some major red flags that people are experiencing in the country. Number one would be poverty, people's lack of resources, food, education, and just having dignity within their livelihood. And number two, unemployment. I mean, both kind of speak to each other there. And we are looking to be positive. We are looking to look at the brighter side of things. How then would we be able to galvanize and just kind of change the narrative and the conversation?
When I talk about innovation, it's also it's creative thinking. So there are many who are in need in South Africa, but we are also a very resourceful nation. There should be a strong emphasis on entrepreneurship. If you go into most communities, you find people who are entrepreneurs and have been doing it for many years. you know, food gardens, people sponsoring bursaries. So, yeah, I feel there are so many untouched areas which should build up an excitement. And of course, I'm not positive every day. Of course, many people just live, they go with it. Poverty is biblical. There's always going to be poverty. What difference am I making to poverty while I'm here?
How else are we able to kind of look at not only keeping on your path, but finding innovative ways and creative ways that you've touched with to continue to make that change?
At the moment, the most sustainable suggestion I can make is that we don't go and start a new NPO. There are enough people doing it. Go and add your voice and your contribution to something that's already working.
That's
because
good.
Everybody thinks they must start an NPO or be a beneficiary organisation. There's so many people at work doing that already. Find out who they are. Social media is an amazing place to go, and it's like it's marketplace, but for something to do to make the country better for more people.
Yeah.
So that's my suggestion is don't hang on somebody else's coattails. If that's working, help them. You know, make your contribution in an existing space that works.
Find something that communicates with you, resonates with you, and run with it.
Yes.
Be a partner instead of a competition.
Yes.
Let's be allies together. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the conversation. And we are continuing this extraordinary conversation, Mzansi. I mean, South Africa is a proud nation, and we can be very proud of our democracy. Now, on social media, we would like to know, Saturday is Freedom Day. So what does freedom mean to you personally? Please do remember to use the hashtag Afternoon Express in all of your comments. But don't go away, because after the break, we speak to Nikki Edwards about her remarkable journey, who, against all odds, rose above her circumstances and became an inspiration and a successful businesswoman.
Express yourself.
Our pharmacies are on the front line of healthcare. This is Pharmacy of the Week.
We're aiming to deliver excellent service, great customer experience. We're building inroads into the pharmacy community and we serve people very, very well.
It's an honor being here, being able to do what I do, playing the role that I play, being the first port of call for most patients. I absolutely love every single one of them.
Well, being brave is a big thing. We are brave enough to be here every morning, to have a job to come to, and brave enough to see to every customer and do whatever we do with a brave heart.
As a pharmacist, I feel it's one of the core values that you have to have. You want to help the people. You want them to come in, even if they're having the worst day. If you can have them go out here with the knowledge or just the idea that they are going to be feeling better.
I just want to welcome all our customers at Cape Gate Spa Pharmacy. We want them to be happy here. We want them to be a customer and part of the family here. We don't want to have them as a number. We want to walk in with a smile and walk out with a smile.
Pharmacy of the Week, proudly brought to you by Adcock Ingram OTC, sponsors of Brave. Inspiring communities, one pharmacy at a time.
With schools opening again, teachers and parents will face difficult situations, like tummy cramps, teething, pain and fever, scratches and scrapes, allergies and coughs. Adcock Ingram OTC brings you a wide range of products to help parents take care of those challenges. Brought to you by Adcock Ingram OTC, sponsors of Brave.
Welcome back. Our democracy and the fall of apartheid did not happen overnight. It's been a long journey of struggle for many of our people. But despite all of the hardships and the struggle, people have been able to rise above their circumstances and make a success of their lives. One such person with me right now, and she is quite a remarkable person with a remarkable story. I am pleased to welcome to the Loft, Nikki Edwards. Welcome to the Loft.
Thank you.
Nikki, we have such an incredible duty with such a big platform to be able to raise awareness and celebrate 30 years of democracy. But before we get into all of that, I just want to find out a little bit about you. Where do you come from and where was the foundation placed when it comes to Nikki Edwards?
Thank you. And I grew up in the boomer generation.
you know, at the height of the apartheid. And growing up, running through the streets of the Cape Flats, playing games and just enjoying life as a child. I grew up in a big family, a loving family, a family that was, you know, the church was very important, but also a family that was not exempted from trauma and pain. You know, in the late 70s and in the early 80s, I went to high school in Mitchell's Plain, and it was at the height of apartheid and the height of riots in the streets, burning tires, Caspers driving down the streets. And I was part of that revolution because I wanted change. I was a little freedom fighter in high school. We mobilized the masses and we wanted to get rid of Bantu education. And for us, we wanted equal opportunities and we want equal educational rights as well. But most importantly, we wanted Nelson Mandela to be freed. And alongside him, the likes of Alan Boesak. And we fought the fight. It wasn't easy.
You spoke of a very tumultuous time, a violent time, and a very trying time. And I can only imagine the difficulty as a person of color, a woman person of color, who has to educate themselves, not only educate themselves, but you need to find a career, find a job, and find your own path. How were you able to cope?
Sure. Even through all of that, I managed to rise. You know, for me, it's always about overcoming. And I often believe that as humans, we are destined for greatness, no matter the circumstances we find ourselves in. You know, and I entered the corporate world. I eventually landed myself into the banking sector of all places. Where there was a course available, I grabbed it. I used the skills. There was an opportunity. I said, I put my hand up. I said, I'll do this. I stepped into situations where it was also very uncomfortable. You're coming as a woman of color into the banking industry, and it was a very elitist department that I was in as well. So you needed to also carve out your path, you know, in a way with integrity and righteousness also. And I've learned a lot. And through, I'd say to you in the beginning, I grew up in the boomer generation. Boomers were hardworking people. You know, they persevered. They built the big nations, you know. And so with that hard work, I used those skills and applied those skills in the banking sector, and you know, that I used there.
We are building up to our voting day on the 29th of May. So as we do celebrate Freedom Day, we are also reflecting on the very first time you casted your vote. What was that experience like and what did it mean to you?
I'm just going to have to show you this.
Oh, my goodness!
I have to. People laugh at me because I'm so attached to this. I still don't have a barcoded ID. I still don't have a barcoded ID. But think of 1994, you know, I was pregnant with my son. And I was
haven't changed. You look exactly the same. I'm not going to show everyone your details. But when it comes to the picture, you look... She had a little bob. That's what I'll say. She had a little pixie cut bob. You look beautiful.
With black hair. Natural grey.
Yeah.
But it was magical. So just imagine now, this was a lot of emotions building up from me fighting for freedom in the late 70s, early 80s. I actually get so emotional. You know, my husband and I am pregnant with my son, and we were living in Johannesburg, standing in those long queues that snaked for the entire day, but it didn't even feel that long because you can imagine the conversations, the banter. Here I am, voting for Nelson Mandela that I fought for so long to be released. And I'm voting with my heart for this man that is going to bring freedom and change the trajectory of South Africa. It was magical. My heart was full. Not just that, I had the opportunity, and the year that Nelson Mandela was released, to take a group of youth from different races into Soweto, into Diepkloof, to his house. He comes out.
Ooh.
I meet this man that I have fought for, been beaten for, been gassed for, been bulleted for. And here he is, inspiring this youth to say, reach your potential. We have what it takes.
Wow.
You know what it is also when Steve Biko said, in times of adversity, we need to have hope. We need to have hope for our country. We need to have hope for our nation, but we need to have hope for ourselves. And that is what we need to take into South Africa. We still need to rise above so many things, but we can only do it with hope in our hearts.
Amen and amen. Well, we are continuing the conversation with you a little bit later. I am so inspired myself sitting in front of what is not only a remarkable woman, but an honourable woman. What a remarkable story of hope and incredible determination. And I know that many people watching will be inspired by Nikki's words and the passion and commitment. But stay tuned as we are going to continue this conversation with Nikki and one of the ladies that she has helped.
Welcome back, Bahlali. And if you love chili, then you will definitely love this next dish. We are making a juicy peri-peri spatchcock chicken that will undoubtedly hit the spot. And to take it to the next level, we are using Clover's Moy River 100% salted butter so that the chicken will ooze with flavor and complement that spicy kick beautifully. So if you're in the mood for a braai, then follow along for these steps. And you've asked me, Jay, to try and sort of separate the skin from the actual chicken itself because you'll be putting the butter inside.
Yes, not in,
okay.
Yeah, not on top, inside.
Inside, okay,
so
cool.
I'm going to be working on the stuffing essentially for the chicken.
Okay.
And of course, the first thing I'm going to do is start off with my Clover Moy River salted butter. Let me give that an open up, and I'm going to be using quite a generous amount of this. So I'm going to scoop this into my bowl, and you can see once again, Tooms, we've got quite a, only a few ingredients on our desk here, which makes this incredibly simple.
So convenient. And I love the fact that you've mentioned that you're using the Clover Moy River, but now I see that it comes in two different, packagings. We've got the tub and we've also got the brick, right?
Yeah, and I love the tub for cooking because we often don't use an entire tub all at once. I am today. The brick is fun for like when I make my buttercreams, for instance, and I'll use an entire brick. So this is great for this application. So I've got my Moy River salted butter in here.
Wait, let me correct you. He's got his Clover Moy River.
There you go.
100% pure salted butter.
There we go.
That's the one we're using.
And then love with chicken, a lot of garlic. So I've got two forms of garlic. I've actually got some chopped.
Okay.
Right, and I've got some that I've just grated with a microplane. In fact, I'm going to do a little bit more. And I love having different textures of the garlic inside this. Really just amplifies the flavor. So it seems like a lot, but remember it's spreading throughout the chicken. So you really want a good generous amount. And then of course I've got peri-peri seasoning. Again, you can use any kind of chili, but peri-peri is a vibe. With chicken, it just works so well. And then seasoning. And then I'm going to give it... Ooh!
That's the peri-peri doing its thing.
That's me.
And one thing you've actually made a note of is making sure that your butter is nice and soft, because this won't work with a tub straight from the fridge. So it's important to let it sit at room temperature.
Definitely. And it just helps with incorporating all those flavors, and you can already see that color is distributing so nicely. It's so soft and creamy as well. So I'm going to give this a stir. Now...
Yes.
You're going to create some little pockets for us to actually insert this into the chicken.
So I'd already started ahead of time. So normally when people work with chicken, they want to try and perhaps stab into it and make sure that the flavors seep into the chicken. This is the one time we don't want that, because we want the chicken to stay intact, because we want to put all that flavor under the skin.
Exactly.
So as you can see, I'm not moving too rough. I'm just being nice and gentle here, ensuring that, in fact, I'm going to turn it around so you can see. I'm ensuring that as my hand is moving in, all I'm doing is gently removing the skin from the rest of the chicken, because we're going to fill this casing up with as much of that butter as possible.
Now you could use your hands with this, it just makes it a lot messier. And this, I find, gives you a more even fill of the butter. So I'm going to slide that right to the top. Let's do it from the side. And then you're gently going to, and as you squirt it out, just give it a tap so that it distributes nice and evenly. And you want that to be spread throughout the entire chicken.
And as a trick as well, if you want to do this ahead of time, it's a great way to sort of marinate your chicken as well, right? Because while you put it in the fridge, it the flavors. It marinates the chicken, and all you have to do, take it out perhaps about 30 minutes before it goes into the fire or into the ovens, just so it comes back to room temp.
I love that. It's so convenient. And what I'm going to do, Tooms, I'm going to put the rest of this into the pan. The other good use for this is essentially it's a basting. So we're just going to melt that down gently on a low heat. And as that melts down and as your chicken continues to cook on the braai, essentially we want to do this on outside.
Yeah.
You keep using the remainder of this to keep basting your chicken. And again, just, you know, incorporating and infusing that butter with all of those amazing flavors onto the chicken. Now, if you're doing it on the braai, you do it for about 15 to 20 minutes aside, alternating it. If we're putting this into the oven, 180 for about 45 to an hour. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pour a little bit on this over the top before we go outside and get this on the braai, Tooms.
Talk about juicy, spicy, and buttery. What more could you want? This peri-peri spatchcock chicken is a winner, and you should definitely give it a go this weekend for the Freedom Day public holiday. You can get this recipe on afternoonexpress.co.za.
Indulge in Clover's Mooi River Pure Salted Butter. Perfect for cooking, baking, and spreading. Elevate every dish with Clover Mooi River Butter.
Our 30 years of democracy has given our people the chance to follow their dreams and build a better lives for themselves. Now, we are hoping that our next interview will give you all out there some inspiration and hope for a better future. I am pleased to welcome back Nikki Edwards from the NGO Taking Care of Business and Olga Ndongeni, who is now running her very own successful business thanks to TCB. Ladies, welcome.
Hi,
Thank you.
Now, just let us kick off by what is taking care of business. It seems like such an incredible opportunity for individuals not only to seek job opportunities, but also change their livelihoods.
Absolutely, and so true. So taking care of business was formerly known as the Clothing Bank. And we used to call it the Clothing Bank, but actually everyone used to call it TCB. And in 2022, we changed our name from the Clothing Bank to TCB Taking Care of Business. And TCB Taking Care of Business was launched in 2010 by two incredible women who had a heart for injustice and a heart for eradicating poverty and for women to become self-sustainable. And this was Tracy Chambers and Tracy Gilmore. And the Clothing Bank is about eradicating intergenerational poverty, and it is giving participants in our program through the fashion and the waste solutions that we use as a tool an opportunity to run self-sustainable businesses. You know, we've been around for the last 14 years, and it's a 2-year program that impacts lives from a holistic perspective at the end of the day.
Now, Nikki, I would like to just hone in on the resale program. How does that work?
So we have all the major retail partners that is part of the TCB program. They donate all their excess stock, all their excess clothing to TCB, and the participants in our organizations have got access to that. They come in on their shopping days, they come and buy their stock at a cost price. We teach them how to mark it up, and off they go to their stands. They've got stands and they've got shops and they've got markets within their home where they sell to the communities. And they then reinvest that money back into their businesses, and they come back for more stock. And can you see how they start getting themselves out of poverty?
Yes. I love that. So you are able now to not only have this access to all these incredible retailers, but you're also able to find out how the retail service works with reselling clothes. I mean, Olga, you've been one of the beneficiaries from this incredible program. How did it all start for you? And also, how has now starting your own business been able to assist you and propel you into the next sphere of life?
I was really so excited because I wanted to change my life, because we just moved from our own house and then we went to stay in an informal settlement because of financial crisis. So we wanted to move back to our own house. We really wanted. So anything that was coming up, we would take it like that. So I joined the program 2022. Fortunately for me, I was taken in, and then I started with the program, and I never wasted time. I started running my business. And I listened, as Nikki was saying. I went to the coaches. We spoke about our past experiences. We healed, and we share love to one another. Anything that was working for me, I would take it. Yeah, I didn't waste time.
That's so beautiful. Now, you've already spoken about what it meant to you, and I can only imagine the ripple effect it's had on your entire family.
Yes.
How has starting your business changed your life?
Starting my business has made me move back to my own house. My kids, my son, at that when he finished matric 2021, and then 2022, he took a gap year. I managed to take him back to school. I have savings. I'm able to pay for my everyday like activities. I'm so confident in whatever I do because I know I am not that. So I am financially stable.
Yeah.
So I'm running my business sustainably. So for me,
you're an independent queen.
Yes.
How have you seen that be reflected in TCB?
Sure, and that's such a beautiful question because every year we have more than 1,200 participants that come through our program, and even once they have graduated from TCB, the graduates still have access to the clothing after 2 years to continue running sustainable businesses. What we have seen as well is that the skills and the knowledge that they have learned through their 2-year program, they've applied to other businesses. And if you look at TCB, more than 2 million fashion and appliances have gone into TCB instead of going into waste. So it's so good to see that what we are using is impacting unemployment within South Africa, which really breaks its cycle of poverty.
What words of encouragement would you have to any lady out there who is unemployed or maybe not quite happy in their workplace and wants to start their own business and change their lives?
For me, Palisa, I would say to those ladies out there, be courageous enough to start something. If you start it, try it. Even if it fails, try it again. Make sure that you don't quit. And I'll also say, if you are given an opportunity also, just look after it. Just look after it and make sure that you show up when you are needed. And if you don't have anything at the moment to do, just volunteer. People will see you. Your work will speak for you. So that's what I will say to anyone who is looking for something to do. I think they are needed somewhere. Their services are needed. They are a solution to their communities. So they just need to show up and do something.
Oh, what a wholesome conversation. I'm just taking a deep breath and I am absorbing everything that you ladies have shared today. Thank you so much, not only for the idea, but for creating the opportunities. And thank you so much, Siswethu, for respecting and treating in Hlonipho everything that's been handed to you. Onwards and upwards, and all the best also to your husband within his business ventures.
Thank you, Kalisa.
I am completely blown away by the concept and work being done by taking care of business. Our country needs more programs just like these. Now, don't go away, as we are going to unpack what democracy means to us. Welcome back. Now, democracy means different things to different people. We are now sitting down with Lisa and Demi to find out what democracy means to them. Welcome back, ladies.
Thank you.
Now, when it comes to democracy, there are so many different rights that we all have to abide by and that we all have to live under. For yourselves, just to capture the idea of democracy, what does it mean to you?
For me, democracy is the privilege of freedom. And it's an obligation on me as a citizen to understand what democracy means, to be democratic, and to live the values that we fought for during the struggle.
No, I fully agree with that. I think the biggest thing for me is now being able, because after all that work that's been done, we don't want to wreck it. So we are in a space of democracy, what does that mean to me now? Because as much as we're talking about rights, there's responsibility. So as much as I want to get my rights, there is also a huge responsibility upon myself to also be an upstanding human and a citizen of South Africa.
Yeah, and ladies, when it comes to freedom of speech and expression, what does that look like?
It encompasses so much. I mean, social media, for one example, is you can express your opinion freely. Then we have the arts, you know, from which we were isolated for so long, and with democracy came the possibility of, the globe opened up. So through the arts, you can get messages through to people. You can educate them around democracy and what our individual roles are. I'm very, very much about making a contribution and not always relying on the government. Because we've never had a government that covers all of us, right? So there are lots of mistakes happening and incompetence and everything. So that's where we, as citizens, step in, and we've got to make democracy work.
Absolutely. Speak out.
Because it's not just speech in terms of the language that you speak. It's what you say, how you say it, who you say it with, and the manner of respect that you use in that as well. Because when we talk about speech, now I'm now able to talk to anyone. It's not just that I'm able to speak. I'm influencing a lot of people, from young children who are watching us on television, from my child who I'm growing with, from people who I don't even know, you understand? So it is important for me to be able to, yes, have free speech, say as much as you want to be able to say, but also bear in mind the impact that that freedom of speech comes with.
And another thing that we have been speaking about, and I kind of touched base with it when it comes to Nikki, and she proudly waved up her old ID book, not card, ID book, the right to vote, the right to have a say, Lisa.
So important. I went to a private girls' school. I never knew about voting. I got to class one day, and the teacher wasn't there. They said she went to vote. So I didn't think anything of it. After break, she was back in the classroom. I put up my hand. I said, "How was the voting?" I don't know what voting is. And then she said it was fine, but started getting red, you know. And then she said, I said, "So who did you vote for?" In the class, there was a massive gasp. And so she said, "That's the rudest, most disrespectful question you could ask. Sit down," which I did. And then I looked around the class to my friends for support, and they all said, "Such a stupid question."
Why would you ask that?
But it wasn't a stupid question, because on that day I learned that my parents couldn't vote. And so being able to be with them on the 27th of April to vote was monumental.
Meant the world.
You know, and so how I feel is we all have to take people with us. I teach my children, we teach our children to acknowledge the past, to understand it, because they've lived fairly privileged lives relative to what was happening pre-1994. So we don't pass the baggage on to them. We don't make them feel responsible. They're not apologetic, but they've got to be purposeful. We all have to be purposeful, and we can.
Oh, and just like that, that draws an end to what has been a very insightful conversation. Lisa, Demi, it is always such a pleasure to be able to touch base with you and unpack not only what does freedom mean to us, but what democracy means. Let's all stand up for our democracy, because under our country's constitution, we are all equal. And that, people of South Africa, is something to be proud of.
There are stories of dreamers, and we're inspired by them all. We invite you to write your story with us. Your story matters. ABSA.
This Freedom Day, South Africans can get ready to experience art in the way it was always intended to be experienced, in public spaces that are accessible to everyone. ABSA has recently launched their National War Murals campaign, which has brought together the country's best artists and tasked them to transform public spaces into inspiring works of art. And we were lucky enough to meet two of the incredible artists and learn more about their work.
Today I'm in the bustling streets of Kwalanga Township in Cape Town, where some of the country's most talented artists have been tasked with turning these plain walls into colorful pieces of art that tell 1,000 words. Adela, it's so lovely to see you.
Hi.
What incredible work. How excited were you when you found out that you were one of the artists that get to participate in such an incredible campaign?
I was so excited. I couldn't believe my luck. I was going for a walk when I got this WhatsApp message asking me if I want to be part of this opportunity, and I could tell my cheeks were just flushed with excitement, and it's wonderful to see it here today as well.
Can you tell me just a little bit more about this particular installation and how long it took?
We had quite a short deadline, so I remember we only had like 1 week to prepare our first ideas, and then I think we had another 2 weeks for the final works and to send them off to Joburg, so it was quite a tight deadline. It kept me busy.
This campaign is all about telling and celebrating all South African stories. Can you tell me the story behind your installation and your piece?
My grandfather fled from Poland during the Second World War, and he was forced to immigrate in South Africa, so it comes from that sort of intergenerational trauma that I'm interested in. And then my interest in the teeth really comes from my domestic space. I have children, 2 daughters, 6 and 12-year-olds. And as you might know, there's a lot of losing teeth in those age groups. And when it comes to teeth and bones, they are very durable. They resist time and they resist high temperatures as well. So they actually survive. They're an object that, like my grandfather, who came here and survived. So I called this work teething because I thought about that word, teething, the difficulty, you know, the struggle, but it's normal. And also how teeth can suggest rootedness and uprootedness.
What an incredible story indeed, not only yours personally within your household, but for us all, it's truly a global truth.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Abongile, your art piece truly has brought the street to life. Can you just tell me about how it feels to be able to see your work enlarged on such a big scale on the street?
I was very excited, you know, to get this opportunity and work with ABSA on this mural project. At first, I was not sure about this project, but because my art gets shown in galleries most of the time, but now it was an opportunity for me to have my work in public, which is nice.
How long did it take for you to put this together?
It took me like a week for me to make it, because at first I was kind of like, I had a creative block. And then I came along a picture of my mother, and then I think that one kind of like made it fit for my story.
ABSA is all about telling South African stories. Can you tell me a little bit more about the story behind this installation?
This artwork depicts my mother, so she's standing in front of our house. So I grew up in Langa in the hostels. So I wanted to narrate my story, you know, and share it with public where I come from and tell about my journey. And kind of like depict someone who's very important to me, which is my mother. She's always supported me since I was young. So it's basically my story, you know, kind of like celebrating her and being grateful, you know. She was supporting my art since I was young, you know, coming from the township, and then you want to pursue in a career in art, it's never easy, but she never discouraged me, you know, so this work was dedicated to her. Also to inspire other young people from the townships, you know, even if you grow up with your single parent, even though you come from a disadvantaged background, if you follow your dreams, if you follow your passion, you know, yeah, I can inspire other kids to follow their dreams.
The ABSA Wall Mural campaign is more than just another campaign. It is redefining the way in which art is seen and experienced and turning us all into active participants in this great project of telling South African stories. So go and explore a township wall mural up close and personal.
Welcome back. Now we are all going to be celebrating Freedom Day this week, and what better way to do it than with an SA flag snack platter. This is just amazing, Jay, and I think you're going to show us how it's made, right? Because it looks absolutely decadent.
Well, why don't you join me, Tooms, and we can get started. But before we get started, how many colours are in the South African flag? Quickly.
7. 6.
There you go.
6.
So we're starting with the first colour. We've got yellow, so we're going to be using some cheddar cheese.
Okay.
And if you can grab, we're missing one colour. If you can grab some feta.
Sure.
And chop that up, and I'll continue with the cheese. And what I really love about this, Tooms, is obviously it's like a great thing to have on your table as a snack, but also such a great conversation starter.
It is, right? Because people would be curious to know, like, I see it's the SA flag, but what did you put in there and what even inspired this?
But not only that, I think it's a great way to start having conversations with your friends and family around what this day actually means to each other. So I've used some black olives. I mean, how perfect is that?
Yeah.
You could use some blackberries maybe, if you want to switch it up, have something sweet. Going with the green, I've got some guacamole. Always a favorite. And imagine having some nacho chips around this and everyone just diving in.
And I think that could also be work, like as a cheese platter type situation. So just have some stuff to eat it with, like your celery sticks and stuff like that.
Definitely. You've got the feta for us.
I've got the feta ready. So I'm going to start skewering up our baby tomatoes over here.
Amazing. So obviously the feta is going to be the white. So I'm going to just use some to create the border here.
Okay.
So you've gone with some discs as well, creating some height and texture. Love that for us.
Love it for us, Fred.
Okay. Now I'm excited about this next part, and I hope you're going to be excited too.
Which one?
Blue.
Let's go in with the blue while I
any
continue.
guesses of what I've used here?
I was quite curious. You think for the one time I've been waiting to ask what it is. I didn't want to be curious throughout the show. I was like, I'm going to wait until we do the recipe.
So this is actually cottage cheese that I've just added a little bit of food coloring to. Super fun.
Okay.
Colorful, playful. This is what it's all about. You know, I mean, when I see the South African flag, it really just brings a lot of joy. You know, it signifies so much for us, but I think sometimes we can be a bit light with regards to what this day means to us. And I think it's celebratory. I think it's important to celebrate as well. And so that's just a cute little tip. And plus, it looks sort of like the ocean. You know, South Africa's got some of the most beautiful oceans in the world. So I thought let's add some of that in there. And then the last one is the red. So we've got some cherry tomatoes, some red pepper, skewers. And this would actually, look at this. This is, I mean, how perfect is that?
Actually, well, now that we're onto that,
so you can use that as a little scoopy scoop. And there you have it. We've got our South African flag.
What else could be more prideful than a South African, edible South African flag?
Exactly.
To get the ingredients for the snack platter, head over to afternoonexpress.co.za.
We're in Zanzibar for Tropical Island of Treasure. Are you? Did you just swim here from South Africa? There's an easier way to find fame and your share of a smooth R1 fortune. Simply upload your audition to social media, explain why you're a match for our celebs. Add the hashtag Tropica and tag @MyTropica, and we could see you in Zanzibar. Buy a Tropica now and enter to be on the island.
Mzansi, it would be impossible to have a Freedom Day show and not celebrate it with pride. And bringing the pride with Tina Turner's Proud Mary. Please give it up for Ndlovukazi Nicholas Kwabe. Take it away.
Thank you.
Jump in the city, working for the man every night and day, and I never lost 1 minute of sleeping. I worried about the way the things might have been. If it will keep on turning, Proud Mary keep on burning. Until I hitched the ride on the riverboat queen. Epic queen, keep on turning. Proud Mary, keep on burning. And we're rolling, rolling, yeah. Rolling on the river. And we're rolling, rolling, yeah. Rolling on the river. Jump in the city, working for the man every night and day. I never lost 1 minute of sleeping, worried about
We were rolling our way behind the scenes, and we had to make it back onto the Afternoon Express stage in Ndlovukazi. Nicolette Gwabe, what an incredible performance! Now, if you have missed anything today, be sure to catch the repeats on Sunday at 8:30 a.m. But until next week, City, goodbye, stay safe, and see you next week. Cheers! Roll.
Indulge in Clover's Mooi River Pure Salted Butter. Perfect for cooking, baking and spreading. Elevate every dish with Clover Mooi River Butter.
Another feel-good production.